Yo, what is good, everybody? My name's Akosha King. Today, I'm going to be talking about the amusement park finances, talking about all the different chains, how they're doing financially, and how I think they're going to be doing in the future. COVID-19 has brought so many financial problems for all these parks, and I think it's really interesting to look at them, talk about them, and see where I think they're going to go. So just a little bit of information on how I'm going to break up this video. For the first half, I'm going to talk about a lot of different numbers, how they're doing financially and the outlook for them. I'm then going to talk about what this means, what I think about new coaster additions, and things of that nature. So to show you guys this first chart here, I wanted to show you how much money is spent at parks. Now, in billions of dollars, SeaWorld, Six Flags, and Cedar Fair are all about even. They make about $1.4 billion every year in a normal year. Now, this is, I think, taken from 2019, before COVID was a thing, and this is how much they're making. Now, Disney by far trumps this. They make about $20 billion every year, way outdoing all these smaller chains. Now, we also compare this to currently, and in 2020 with COVID and how everything's happened. This is the last year, and how they've been the last year. So SeaWorld's made 400, Six Flags with $300 million, and Cedar Fair with, I think it was $181 million. So this is far below their billions of dollars that they're making previously. And obviously Cedar Fair is lagging way behind SeaWorld and Six Flags. So I think the explanation here is that SeaWorld opened a little earlier. I think they had the earliest opening parks, I believe, in the SeaWorld chain there. And they also held out the latest through COVID. So that can explain why they had a little bit more money that was actually spent at the parks compared to Six Flags and Cedar Fair. And Cedar Fair is the exact opposite of SeaWorld. They pretty much closed the entire time and are still like not even opening until I think Cedar Point opens May 14th or something crazy like that. So I think that kind of explains that. Now we also looked at how much money each company lost in general. So Cedar Fair lost by far the most amount of money. I think they lost $661 million in the last year. Six Flags lost about 360 million, and SeaWorld lost about 300 million. So obviously Cedar Fair is taking the biggest hit of any of these parks, and it kind of goes back to the thing before where Cedar Fair is closing for longer, and they obviously have more of a loss. Now people aren't really like taking this into account, in my opinion. I feel like everyone expects Cedar Point to have all these great additions, but honestly, as we're seeing right here, Cedar Fair has been getting killed more than pretty much any other amusement park, but not as much as Disney, let me tell you. So all the way down there, you have all those Cedar Fair parks, Six Flags parks, who lost a good amount of money. Don't get me wrong, but not like Disney. Disney lost about $8 billion throughout this COVID-19 crisis, and they're getting killed in the theme parks. They're opening up. Hopefully, things are looking better. But yeah, Disney got absolutely grilled, and I don't know how they're gonna be doing it. But explanation there for how they're gonna be financially afloat is just because they have all of those other businesses. Theme parks and like entertainment accounts for about 30% of how much money they make. So Disney has so much other sources of money that it doesn't really matter. They lose their theme parks. Now, I also the last financial thing I want to talk about here is this ratio called the PE ratio. We'll call it the P ratio. So how it works is there's this line here. We'll put it at 22. And anything above this line means that people are really optimistic about the parks. They think they're going to go to the moon. They think they're going to have a great future. Now, anything below this line is you're the opposite of this. You're pessimistic. You don't think these companies have a good future. So the 22 line you see there is what we should expect, right? So anything over would be really optimistic, under would be pessimistic. So our first park was Six Flags. We found, I think it was a 22.4 PE ratio when taking into account 2022 earnings. This is pretty good. As I said, they're not really optimistic, not really pessimistic. They're kind of right in the middle there. Then you have Cedar Fair down at 19. Obviously, investors and Wall Street in general is pretty pessimistic on Cedar Fair. I think it definitely goes back to the fact that they've lost more money than Six Flags and SeaWorld. They've been getting killed, and they're not really opening. They're not really trying as much as Six Flags is. Now, surprisingly, at least surprisingly, in my opinion, they were really optimistic on SeaWorld. They think that they have a 27 ratio, which is far above the 22, and really just have an optimistic view for SeaWorld. I personally was surprised by this. I don't know that SeaWorld is doing that well financially, as we saw with the whole RMC crisis and the Iron Gwazi thing. But apparently, people are looking up for SeaWorld. And then we have Disney at 41, way over the 22 and way over the 27. I mean, everybody loves Disney. Everybody thinks they're gonna have an amazing future. I think this also is, you can't really like pinpoint it to just theme parks. They also have like Disney Plus and all those other services, but that's not the focus of this video. But yeah, that was the big point there. I think that it's really interesting to see that people don't really think that Cedar Fair is going to have that great of a future compared to parks like SeaWorld and even Six Flags. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, I showed you all these weird stats, these weird numbers that no one really cares about. What does this even mean? So I'm going to talk about first Cedar Fair and what I think this means for this company. Now, we saw time and time again in all those numbers I just showed you, Cedar Fair has probably gotten the worst of it, and people don't really think they're going to have that great of a financial future. Now, this is super interesting to see because Cedar Fair has been seen as a big money spender park and company. We're seeing coasters be added to Cedar Point every like third year. Gigas being added. They're not really seen as a discount park. But I think that what it really shows is that they may need to be. They may need to get kind of creative, as we're seeing with parks like Six Flags. We're doing the Coaster Power Hours at Six Flags Great Adventure. And I think that it's time that they rethink what they're doing. I think that we're going to see a lot less additions in the next few years. I think the Cedar Point Gerstlauer coaster was already pretty much planned for the last like 5 years. But so I don't think that's going to be scrapped just yet. I think that was planned for a little earlier. But I think that for Cedar Fair, I think we're going to see a lot less coasters, a lot less additions be added. Now, I also think that we're going to see an increased operating schedule for a lot of the parks. Now, we know that Cedar Point only operates a very select few months out of the year. I think that they may rethink this and may actually expand the operating schedule. Now, there's a few reasons why they would do this. Just to get those season pass days out of the way and keep their season pass holders happy. Obviously, season pass holders aren't very happy after this last year. I also think that they need the money just in general, and that's a great way to get it. So in general, I think Cedar Fair got the worst of it, and I really think that what they're going to be doing is just kind of saving money and rethinking how they do stuff. Now, as we kind of compare this to our beloved Six Flags parks and SeaWorld parks, I don't think that we're going to see that many changes. First, Six Flags parks have always been been seen as the discount parks. They've gotten the most relocations, the most clones. I don't think anything's going to really change. They're only going to keep adding a few coasters every year, and keep removing them at a decently high rate. And as for SeaWorld, I think they're going to continue on their path. I don't think we're going to see too many changes in those parks. They add coasters at a relatively stable rate. They kind of like to add them all at once, as we've seen these last few years. They've definitely been adding a lot more. Sure, that may slow down, but I think in the long run, as we're seeing with a lot of the money that they're making, they're not doing as bad financially as we see in a lot of the other parks. So I think that we're going to continue to see them do pretty well. Thank you guys for watching. As always, be sure to let me know in the comment section what you guys think about the video. I've been thinking about doing a more in-depth analysis of a lot of different parks, especially the Cedar Fair and Six Flags parks, and how I think this is all going to impact them in the long run. If that's something you guys are interested in, make sure to let me know in the comment section. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.